As you are joining in, put it down in the chat. Where are you from? Do let us know with a thumbs up if our audio and video is clear. While you all are joining in, let me ask you some fun questions related to heart and put that down in the chat and let's see how many questions do you get it right. The first question I have for you is, how many times does your heart beat in a minute? A very simple, easy peasy question for you to begin with. Put the number down in the chat. The second question for you is, do you think your heart shape is exactly like the emoticon heart, like this or like this? Tell me a yes, no, maybe in the chat so we know. Hmm. The third question for you is, which I think I will cover also in today's live, how many chambers does your heart have? If you're like, what are these chambers? Hold on, this live is perfectly for you. On that note, let me actually begin with, wow, I can see heart emoticon instead of the actual heart emoticon, instead of the heart which you use for emotions. Nice. We have an audience who's aware. That's great. So, who this live is for? This is episode 7 of Doctor Meets Healer. The episode is titled as Your Heart Well Being. So, or well being of your heart. Who is this for? This is number one for somebody who gets panic or fear anytime you hear like a heart attack news, be it anywhere in the news, any random persons as well, that creates a panic and fear. Second, you're going through any kind of issues in your heart or circulatory system, or anybody in your family is going through it, or you have a family history of issues like hypertension, cholesterol, heart attacks, all of those. Third, this is for all of those people who want to really work on their heart health to improve it. And finally, all those healthy individuals who don't want to wait for warning signs and start taking care of their health from today onwards. So, this is for all of you all. So, on that note, let's begin with what Dr. Meets Healer series is all about. So, this series was started with an idea, with an inception of how really a person can be looked at as a whole and not just a specific organ or a disease. So that's where we integrated and blended the perspective of doctor who brings in modern medicine knowledge, the knowledge and the wisdom which has been well researched, evidence based, and along with the knowledge and perspective of a healer which is based on the alternative healing techniques, the traditional sciences which have been practiced from time immemorial. So these tools blend to give you a holistic perspective so you can address any concern mentally, emotionally, and physically. All those who kept on joining us again and again, let us know in the chat how many episodes of these 7 episodes you've already watched. So we get to know how many episodes you are in. So on that note, I am the doctor of this Doctor Meets Healer series. I'm Dr. Harshita, a general physician with the expertise in working on lifestyle and emotional disorders and addressing from the root cause of it so that eventually you can have a lifestyle, you're leading a life where you don't have to be dependent on medicine and you are healthy no matter at what age you are. You're doing your treks, you're taking care of your babies, you're having a good career, everything while your health is at top game. On that note, let's welcome the healer on the board and let her introduce herself.
So there were these questions that you started with. I'm waiting for people to actually even answer them while they're even answering the questions about the heart. Welcome to another episode of Empowered Body Mind Soul's Doctor Meets Healer. Empowered Body Mind Soul is the go to place for you if you really want to work on your emotional health, mental health, physical health, and spiritual health. We take care of you from your personality to your lifestyle to your personal growth and to your health and well being. So, welcome to this channel if you're new here. And if you're joining us again, welcome back. Please share a hi and how you're doing in the chat so that we know you're back again here with us and you're part of our community. I'm Manali Mehta, the founder of Empowered Body, Mind, Soul, and I have been a trainer, a healer, a psychologist for about 17 years now, 15, 17 years now, actually. Yes. So, we wanted to do this, as Harshita said, to amalgamate the combination, and we wanted to bring about this change for you so that you are aware of what is happening in your body and make the most use of it. So, while we're talking about your heart health, please do put in all the questions that you have about your heart health so that we can answer them as well for you as you're getting more awareness today. So, Harshita, let's begin with heart health and let's understand how does the heart pump? Is it like the dhak dhak this way or is it a dhak dhak this way? Let's begin.
There's definitely, let's start with the dhak dhak. So, especially I think people who are Bollywood buff will be kind of upset that your heart does not sound like dhak dhak. It actually sounds like lub dub. So, those of you who know the spelling of it, put it down in the chat. A while later, I will say the spelling also, but the heart sounds like your lub and your dub. So, on that note, let's actually see how does your heart pump. The question I had asked that how many chambers your heart has. Technically, your heart has four chambers, four rooms. Why does it have four rooms? Because your heart is pumping blood. So your one room is meant, the spelling is close enough with the lub dub. Let's see if you can fine tune it a little bit. So the first room is which receives blood from everywhere from the body. Like we saw in a previous life, the circulatory system, your blood is what carries the oxygen, the energy for each and every cell. So all of this blood comes back to the heart first chamber, the first room, and from there it goes to the lungs. Why does it go to lungs, you would ask? Your lungs is what is breathing in the oxygen. So all the oxygen which is taken in from the environment, this lungs adds that oxygen to your blood. Now your blood is rich in oxygen. So now it gets back to the second room of the heart. So once it comes to the second room, then it goes to your room number 3 and 4. From there, it goes to all your bodies. That's the reason your heart has 4 rooms. It's just like your first room is the inbox from your entire body. Your second room is the inbox from the lungs. It's receiving in the email the blood from the lungs. And your third and fourth room is the outbox. From there, it's going to the rest of the body to go ahead and give the blood. And yes, the spelling is lub dub, lubb and dubb. So that's the right spelling. It's not dhak dhak dhak. Sorry to break that, burst that bubble for all of you all, but that's the right spelling. And on that note, I'd asked a question: how many times does your heart beat in a minute? So 72 is one number, but the actual range is 60 to 100. And a healthier heart is better if it's in the range of 60s and 70s and towards the lower than towards the higher. Very shortly, as we go ahead in this live, we will cover that why it's important to be at that 60, 70, and how you can do that as well. But first, let's understand that this was from the medical point of view, how your body is functioning. Let's actually understand from the healing perspective what's the role of the heart, the energies of the heart.
Yes. So if you're new here, let's reiterate how do we connect the body with our thought process first at Empowered Body, Mind, Soul. We focus on the fact that every organ has its own functionality, it has its own brain, it has its own thought process, it has its own feelings and its own way of functioning. And that's how you have a proper, healthy, functional organ. So when we're talking about the heart, it actually covers the systems of life. What does that actually mean? It means that every system of life, from the external part, whatever's in your environment as well, which supports you to function, may it be nature, may it be your family, may it be your work, may it be rules, norms that you follow, are all different kinds of systems which are external to you. And then we have internal systems, which are how we think, what we believe in, how we want to process what we're going through, how we want to address things, and how we want to handle and cope with situations. So, the combination of all of this is called the systems of life, the codes, the rules, the norms that you follow so that you can live a happy, healthy, fulfilling life. So, as she was talking about the four rooms, there is a breakup with the thought process as well when we talk about these four rooms. But instead of getting into it personally right now, because none of us are going to open up and check what's going on in which chamber right now, it doesn't make sense for us to right now understand the details of each chamber. But the basic understanding that we need to have is what are we willing to receive from the outside world, from the systems, and what are we willing to deliver and contribute back? Are we open to understanding what's coming towards us and take it in a healthy manner so that we can process it and then give back in a healthy, constructive manner? Or do we kind of lack on either one side? If we lack on either one side, then we're going to have troubles with our heart health. But if we are comfortable with receiving and giving, our heart health is well. So, should we go ahead now?
Yeah, so I think now that you pointed out the heart health is troubles, the number one thing technically which happens to heart is what's called as the heart attack, the cardiac arrest, or your heart is failing, your heart completely stops working, or your heart is functioning at a percentage of like anything less than 100. So there are times when either you or your family member might have gotten an echo, a 2D echo test done, and you would see that the it's showing that the heart is functioning at a 40%, 60%, 70%. So that's indicating that how well the heart is functioning. Like our phone batteries, even the heart begins its life with 100% itself, but as it goes ahead, the functioning can reduce because of various reasons which will shortly come to. That the heart attack where your heart is stopped working itself for a while, so that's called as a heart attack. There are times when heart can completely stop working, which is called as a cardiac arrest. Of late we're hearing lot of news where there are sudden heart attacks, or where in young adults, people who are seemingly very healthy, hitting the gym every time, going on marathon rides, but they're still passing out and succumbing to heart attacks. So let's understand how this heart attack is actually even happening. I will actually take it a little step back, or a deviation towards going to heart is actually a muscle, which I think we don't realize. I want you all to share that in the chat. Did you know before this call or before the announcement of this live that the heart is actually a muscle? So put that down in the chat while you're sharing that. Your heart is a muscle, but it's not the muscle which is in our rest of the body, like in the muscles in your hand, your legs, and all. Those are a different kind of a muscle, and your heart is a different kind of a muscle. Even though there is a difference, there is a certain similarities also in this muscle. Just like when you are exerting yourself at the gym, when you're overworking, your muscle tend to tire out. It can have soreness, it can have those micro tears, okay, and it requires that extra oxygen, extra blood to really recover. On the same hand, if you think of your heart technically is never stopping to beat. You are continuously having a lubbed up sound. No matter now, while you're talking, maybe you're not able to hear, but if you actually feel your pulse here, you'll be able to feel the pulse. That's an indication your heart is continuing to beat through and through. So your heart does not fatigue out in that way. That's one advantage of the heart muscle. But on the other hand, if you overexert it again and again, that overexertion can happen at a physical level where you're exercising a lot, where you're going ahead and doing things which you're not supposed to do, which is not allowing you at your body level. That aspect where you're overexerting in terms of emotionally and mentally as well, which we'll shortly cover as well. That overexertion can lead the heart to stop for a while. The blood can completely reduce, or they can be like the micro tears. That's what actually leads to your heart attack, where the muscles are not getting its blood supply. The one which is supplying blood to everybody, ironically, is not getting its own blood supply. That's what leads to heart attack. On the other hand, when the entire room, or the from the room, whether the outflow channels and the inflow channels, those channels are blocked, those pipes or the pumps are blocked, that clogging is happening. That's also when your heart can reduce in its functioning, or can completely stop, and it can lead to failing. So that again happens through chronic diseases, like when there is BP for a really long time, when there is cholesterol which is not controlled from a long time, that all of those starts affecting your heart in long term. So this is what can lead to the deterioration and reduction in the functioning of the heart from physical and medical point of view. Let's understand emotionally what's triggering you to creating that so-called stress, which we call the heart stress.
Exactly that. Stress. Okay. So when we're talking about why your heart gets into trouble, it's because how are we taking in stress? We were talking about the heart's chambers work on what we're receiving, how we hold it, and then how we contribute back, right? So most of us don't really handle stress very well, or we are not even enabled or taught how to handle stress. So we keep taking on stress, but we don't know what to do about it or how to handle it. And that's when the heart starts suffering slowly and steadily, which leads to a problem. What is the tendency that people do with stress is they avoid it, or they suppress it, or they give in to it and overwork themselves even more to combat the stress. But the realization that one needs to have is there are two kinds of stress: distress and eustress. Okay. So quickly put in the chat what you think is distress and what you think is eustress. So, distress is when it is a problematic experience for you and you don't know how to handle it. It is making you suffer, it is making you struggle, it is making you feel unhappy with life. All right. Whereas eustress is the kind of stress that you like. It's a challenge. It's slightly hard, it's slightly difficult, but you look forward to it. You look forward to enjoying it, exploring it, experiencing it. How many of us end up having a eustress in life versus the distress in life? In today's day and world, everybody's just running after something or the other that they've forgotten to take the time out to create a space of eustress in life. And when that distress and anxiety and problems start picking up, we stop exploring our emotions, we start numbing our emotions, we start running away from them. And that's why you find that fit people, they're physically fit, but they're not mentally and emotionally fit. And that's why they end up in trouble. If you take any example, go ahead, go research on it, and you'll find those who have recently passed away because of heart attacks and who were really fit. You would even find that in their personalities, physically fit, great, it's amazing. You should work out, you should take care of yourself, but they never took the time out to take care of their emotional and mental health. And those who have recovered from it, they have also mentioned the reason that they were going through was because they were avoiding stress or dealing with stress. So, before we give you all tips on how to handle your stress and how should you be taking care of your heart, quickly in the chat put down what do you think or how do you handle stress on a regular basis? Distress. You stress, please handle very well, keep continuing. But how do you handle the distress that you're facing in life? And while they're
While
sharing that, I want you to explore a little bit more from the medical point of view, Harshita, of why does that stress get ignored, and why is it that they end up, going into a more, like you were talking about, fitness and looking good and the looking factor of it, which is why the muscle starts having a more wear and tear, which affects them eventually from a medical point of view.
So yeah, that exactly comes to the pointer of starting to listen to your body. Let's connect this of how you can listen to your body as well, and how the stress is actually giving you signs to your body. Firstly, let's go ahead, and the heart rate which I was mentioning, coming from the range of your 60 to 100. When you're stressed, the first thing which will happen is your heart rate will start shooting up, just like how you can hear my rain sounds at the background. While you're sitting, you'll be able to hear your heart's lub dub, or in your words, still dhak dhak going on. So, so called in a medical word, it's called as palpitation. When your heartbeat is increasing, that's an indication your heart is overworking. It is having to pump so many times to just create the same amount of blood flow. That's an exertion to your heart. So that's one of the way where you can see that your body is under stress. Second is also chest pain. That is also where showing that there is a stress. So this chest pain, I will want to differentiate from the pain which causes due to gastritis, from the chest pain because your heart is in trouble, like your heart is shouting out loud, kind of chest pain. So if it is of gastritis, you will see that this pain is usually after your meal or within 2 hours of your meal, and the pain can occur while you're leaning forward or you're lying down. That's the pain. And a very easy tip is, if there is a burning sensation kind of a pain, these are all like a gastritis related pain. All those, why don't you go ahead and share if you have gastritis kind of chest pain, what has really worked for you, so you don't have to hit the emergency and casualty and get an ECG done in the middle of the night. So while you share that, on the other hand, the heart screeching and shouting kind of pain is a pain which will be in the center of the chest or towards your left side. And that will have a tendency to move upwards. So the pain can go to your jaw, your neck, your shoulder, your arms. It can go upwards. And this pain is going to be so heavy, like you will feel like somebody's sitting on your chest. It's gonna feel that tightness, and this pain technically lasts for few minutes and then can completely disappear if you just go and sleep as well. And at times it can just give that warning and then disappear, whereas your gastritic pain stays for a longer time. So that's the second way your body is communicating. And finally, when it comes to stress, what actually happens is, when you're going through so much away from the routine, there is something called a hormone called cortisol, which gets secreted in your body. This hormone is actually, in a way, a good hormone because it's supposed to secrete in the night so you can go to sleep, and it's supposed to secrete a little bit in the morning so you can get started. Just like how Manali mentioned, stress is required because that's going to get you out of your comfort zone, or that's going to make you go ahead and take an action. But what's happening nowadays, when you are in stress through and through, you're watching something on, say, like on social media, you start comparing, you're like, oh, that's better, this is better, this is where I want to be. You're being in that stress, you're having a tiff with a boss or something, and there is a work pressure, there is that work stress. You maybe had a fight with your spouse, or your child is not listening to you, and there's, oh, there is stress over there. Nowadays the child also has stress of their exams, the parents also have stress of their exams. So there's stress with every activity. When you start associating stress with every activity, the hormone cortisol, which is supposed to be high only during the morning and the night time, it starts being high throughout the day. And this hormone, as it's a hormone, it starts being high throughout the day. It starts depositing fat in your body, not just below the skin, but around your body organs. One of the main organ which is susceptible to it is heart. So around the heart, there is begins deposition of fat. And that also, just imagine like a pump which has fat around it. How will it move completely? How is it going to expand and contract easily? So that's what happening when there is so much stress in the body. So one of the way to actually get this done for the body's fat, you can see it, but and the organ fat is something you cannot see it. So this is where you can go ahead and get a testing done, the scanning done, where you can see how much fat is deposited around your abdominal, around your different tissue. So that's gonna give an estimate of how much fat is there, which will show you how healthy you are or unhealthy you are. So these are the ways medically you can start listening, and certain heart tests which routinely you can do once a year. When we say routinely once a year, is definitely ECG, 2D echo, and the other blood test would be cardiac markers if there's any kind of chest pain at any time. And a regular routine test will definitely be HSCRP. This is a heart sensitive CRP marker, which is a very important test to know how good your heart is. And cholesterol test is something you cannot ignore, because that's going to indicate as well that how your diet is affecting your heart health. So these were the things medically. While I said listening to your body, what do you think, Manali, that they can do along with reducing stress? But how can they actually tune in more inwards to understand what's actually happening emotionally to them? Because I think a lot of them just label everything as stress, but there are a lot more emotions which is leading to stress technically.
Correct. So first of all, I hope you all have made a note. Now you know what the cortisol is in your test when you're getting it, and you know the marker and how to look at it now. So pay attention when you're getting your health check next time and when you have your test done. So keep a note and become more aware of what your tests are showing you. So I see only two, three people who have already shared how they're handling with stress. I'm going to assume the silence from the rest of them is that they are not sure how to handle stress. If you are sure, or if you're not even coping with your stress, do put it in the chat so that we know how we can support you better as well. So yes, while I was talking about stress, it is basically about how we view things when they're coming to us. Do we get reactive? Do we get triggered? Do we get upset? Do we get irritated? Do we get annoyed for the things that are coming into our life? The way we respond to all the things that are coming into our life, whether it's a person, whether it's an interaction, whether it's an experience, the minute we get agitated, the minute we even go to the other extreme of freezing up and don't know how to deal with it, these are actual forms of indicating that you're getting stressed. You'll not say it as stress, you might just say, I'm feeling overwhelmed. You don't know how to handle it. So you don't know what to do about it. You don't know what to take on as an action. So your mind and your emotions tend to freeze up, or they go into another reaction of rejecting it altogether. That's when you start reacting, and that's when you start shouting. If you would have heard, people who have high BP, they tend to say, right, people with high BP are also the ones who are shouty in nature, right? They tend to speak more loudly, they get short tempered also quickly. Why is that happening? They are not able to receive what is coming in, so they get reactive. So the way you can listen to your body internally from your emotions and your mind is, any situation next time, pause for a moment and ask yourself, okay, am I going to react? Is it triggering me? Am I getting irritated? Am I getting annoyed? Or am I just blanking out? That will be your first indicator that this is a form of distress for you. After that, get into the processing of it, that okay, it's distress, what do I want to do about it? Everybody handles with stress differently. Like I can see in the chat, there are a few suggestions already about deep breaths, listening to your body, meditation, talking to a friend, listening to music. So everybody has a different way of handling stress, and you need to find your own unique way to handle stress. We cannot give you like ABC is the only way to handle stress, because then it will not be functional for you. But there are going to be two methods that I would like to share shortly, after Harshada covers from a diet point and an exercise point what you want to take care of, how you can take care of your emotions, how you can process them, and what you can do when you're starting to feel overwhelmed and stressed. So let's start from the physical aspect first. Can't hear you, Harshita.
Sorry, I had muted myself because it was raining in the background. Okay. So my question to all of you is, how many of you here hit the gym? Put down a yes or a thumbs up so I know. And while you're saying that, tell me how many minutes also you're working out for. While you share about this, let's start with the food tips first because they are actually easy peasy ones, even though they're so called complicated. I would actually tell you to add certain foods, then eliminate foods. Okay, because I think the elimination is something we've covered in the last part. But here, adding foods which are good for your heart is what I would focus on. First are nuts, all different kinds of nuts, variety of nuts. These are good for your heart. So if you've heard like I have cholesterol, I'm not supposed to eat a nut. No, if you actually soak your nut and eat it, the cholesterol component will not get affected. It will give you those antioxidants which are required for the betterment of the heart. So all different kinds of nuts. Same applies to berries. Berries which are available locally and seasonally is much better than the dried ones or added extra sugared ones. Go with more natural, the local berries. If you're non-vegetarian, adding foods which are rich in fish and all of it, those which are omega-3 rich, all of those food also adds to your good heart health. So these would be the food which I would ask you to add to it. And second, when you're eating, please don't eat with stress. Oh, I've stressed this. My dietitian has said no to eat to this. Oh, it's my cheat day only today, but I've done my cheat day already. I can't repeat the cheat day in the same week. Please don't eat food with stress. Have that thing like, oh, this food is actually adding nourishment to my body. It's making my heart pump better. It's giving energy to my entire body as well. So enjoy that food. Feel that the food is nourishing and nurturing you, and that's when your heart will also be able to nurture your body. So that's with the food. So now coming to the exercise, I see 45 minutes, not going to gym currently. Okay. So there's only one person working out, rest of them are not doing the gym. Okay. So I want to understand then what are you doing for your exercise? Because my first tip here will be to not hit the gym. Don't get me wrong. I'll tell you. Don't hit the gym if throughout the day you are just sitting idly and doing nothing except for that 1 hour in the day. If throughout the day you are really taking stress of every other kind of a thing, you're not taking care of your diet, you're not taking care of your emotions, if you're not really looking out for your own body, then please don't hit the gym. In that way you will harm yourself more than doing good. And technically the gym will become an excuse for you. Oh, I'm doing the gym for 1 hour so I don't have to do anything else. But that's not the truth. Like we just mentioned a while ago also, there are fit people who are succumbing to heart attack. There are young adults who are running marathons and middle of their marathon they are just collapsing. There, if you're active on different social media, there are celebrities who are telling out that I have such a fit and healthy lifestyle, I go to the gym, I go do this, yet I had a minor heart attack and I got my test done, all of those things. So, what's actually important is instead of exercising just for 1 hour and doing nothing for the rest 23 hours, you need to bring about movement through the day. So this movement will be basically through your walking through the day, going ahead and climbing stairs, going for short runs and jogs. Sometimes when you can't take out time for gym, every hour just taking out 5 minutes and doing any kind of activity. It could be your stretching, it could be your yoga asana, it could be spot jogging at that time for 5 minutes, doing push up, holding a plank, doing those different kind of movements through the day. That's going to be way more beneficial than just doing it for 1 hour and doing nothing for the rest of that. Why I'm also saying this, just like I said that your muscles tend to actually become sore, all of those, it also recovers time to get over the exertion it has got. So this time will be beneficial when you break it throughout. So focus more on the movement than just hitting the gym for an hour. And that's where it comes to the second part, the rest. How your heart muscle needs to rest. By rest, it doesn't mean it has to stop working. Of course, there's a question on what about lifting weights. Of course, you can go ahead and lift weights. You can. Let me phrase it again. You can go hit the gym if the other 23 hours you're doing other things. The tips which Manali will mention, plus you're taking care of your diet. You are you there is a movement throughout the day. You're going out walking, you are active throughout the day. You have an active lifestyle and not a sedentary lifestyle, then go ahead, lift weights. So that will work on your skeletal muscle and eventually on your heart muscle as well. Okay, but for heart per se, the good exercises are exercises which adds oxygen to your body, like your swimming, going ahead and jogging, running. All of those aerobic exercises, the so-called cardio exercises, is what is labeled as good for the heart muscle. That's coming to the second point which I was telling, is resting your heart. How you can actually rest your heart is when you're able to reduce your heartbeat, which is going from 60 to 100. If you can get it closer to 60 or even little lesser, some of the athletes who have been training for so long, who are playing sports, who are working on their fitness physically, emotionally, and mentally as well. They go for meditation, they go for different other things, they work on themselves, they're journaling, they're on that introspection, how to become better, all of those. They're even able to get their heart rate in the range of 50s as well. So if you can get a lower heart rate, that's actually a way of resting your cardiac muscle, because that's technically you're putting less effort to get the same amount of work done. And when you're putting less effort, that's when you're able to rest it out there. So this is one way physically to reduce your heartbeat. Let's now understand what can you do emotionally and mentally also, so we can address this holistically.
So we're going to do a breathing exercise first. We will start with the physical part of it so that we can understand our heart better. So let's do it together. I want you to keep your hand on your chest. Okay. Obviously, you're not going to position it exactly where your heart is, but just position it generally in the center. I want you to pay attention to what's happening with you. All right. Become aware of your body. So when we're going to initially say one, that's an inhale, and two as an exhale. Okay. So we're going to just do a quick breath. Then we're going to elongate the breath. And then we're going to see how it calms you down. So that is a way of handling distress and becoming more aware and in sync with your body. Okay. So let's just start with quick breaths and then gently move on. So I hope all of you all have your hand on your chest and please sit straight. And let's take one, two, one, two, one, two. And this time I'm going to take it a little slow. One, two, one, two, one, two. While I'm doing this one and two, I'm mentally counting two, three, four. So we're going to do a count of four in and out. Okay, so let's continue. One, two, one, two. And now let's elongate it to 1 till 6. That's your inhale. And then 6 to 1 is going to be your exhale. So I'm going to say 1 and 6 this time. Okay. So let's take it in. 1, 6. 1, 6. 1, 6. And the final one that I want you to do is 1 till 8. If you're not able to do it, hold it as much as you can. Take it in as much as you can and then gently, slowly exhale. Okay. Let's go up from 1 to 8 and then 8 to 1. 1, 8, 1, 8, 1, 8. And for a moment now, just close your eyes and just see and feel and observe how your body is feeling. Once you're aware, open your eyes, and I hope you could sense the difference of from the quick breaths to the elongated breath, what a shift it created physically for you, and it also created emotionally for you. Your focus automatically shifted to your breath altogether, that you forgot to think about the other things for that moment. So, the more you start doing breath work, you will automatically find that any kind of distress or any kind of obstacles coming your way will reduce. Because what you're indirectly doing is you're taking in the main source of life, oxygen. So, you're welcoming, you're receiving something, and you're also being able to contribute by letting go. And that's why breath work works very well for anybody who is struggling with their heart. So that's the first step. The second step that you can do is every single day, midway, at least halfway. We've given this as a tip multiple times in empowered sessions, that pause and reflect every hour or every 2 hours of how you're feeling emotionally. So pause and check in with yourself. You're doing all this work outside and you're doing everything to fulfill your life and your dreams and your desires. So pause to make sure you're taking care of what's going on inside so you can perform better, you can be more productive. So check in with yourself every hour or two and ask yourself, how am I feeling? Address it then and there by saying this affirmation: I receive wholeheartedly, I give wholeheartedly. The affirmation itself has your heart, so don't worry. It will automatically take care of your heart health. So if you've registered the affirmation and you want to say it so that you can take care of your heart, even though you don't have any heart problems right now, which is wonderful, still type in the chat: I receive wholeheartedly, I give wholeheartedly. So when you start saying this, when you're doing even your breath work, you're automatically taking care of your heart health. Just doing these two tips will take care of it holistically. And then, of course, whatever are your methods to work on stress, start applying them. Make sure when you go to bed, you're not going to bed in stress, but you're giving yourself time to unwind, relax, come to a balanced state for yourself, and then you're going to sleep. All right. So I hope you've registered it and make a note of it. I receive wholeheartedly. I give wholeheartedly. Yes,
We're
Ashika,
getting
you
that
wanted to add.
in affirmation. No, while I share this incident, I would want you all to share if any questions you have. While you're sharing this tip, it just flashed me when I was observing a renowned cardiac surgeon in his OT operating on a heart. Just before he entered his OT room after wearing all his scrubs and all, he actually paused for 2 to 3 minutes and closed his eyes and was just doing the breath work. And that's where his sisters also noticed that okay, it's the time to start his classical music, because that was his go-to method to do a heart surgery, because heart surgeries goes on for hours together. The the engineers can, you can work on a car maybe in few hours because it's shut, but the heart is pumping, you need to work. So that was his go-to method. So a renowned cardio surgeon who's expert at that physical level, who knows the nitty-gritty in all of it, yet he's using all of the emotional and mental techniques also. That itself shows that how everything is connected, and we need to look at it holistically. That really upped his performance as well and calmed everybody else down also. So otherwise in OT there's always this clutter. The anesthetist is like, oh, BP is coming up, this is shooting up, that's happening, all of it. But when there was this music, there's, you know, you're entering, there's automatically way less chaos and everything's happening smoothly. So that's a great tip for you all. From you have it now, from mentally, emotionally, and physically, what you really need to do to keep your heart healthy and continuing to beat dhak dhak or love dub. On that note, officially we're done with this live of Dr. Meets Healer. In case you have any questions, please put it down in the chat. We'll be there here for 5 more minutes so we can address your question. And we will see you all for the next episode, the episode 8 in the next month of June. And while those who are new and some of them have seen that you've not seen all the episodes, you have seen only 5, 4, or 3 of them, go ahead and see all the other episodes as well, because we are whole. We are made of different parts put together. So let's complete the pieces of puzzle by understanding one piece at a time.
And make sure you share it with your loved ones as well so that they can also learn to take care of their heart health holistically. Share the information, spread it so that everybody has a good heart muscle.
Exactly. That's the right way to end it. And this live will be recorded and available on our YouTube channel as well. So you want to refer back to any time, come back to these tips, or just do this guided part of the meditation or know the names of the test. You can always come back to our YouTube channel and you can hit the bell icon. So anytime we go live, if it's spontaneous as well, because at times when we just get calling to go live for certain meditation or certain things, so we do spontaneous impromptu lives as well. You can just hit the bell icon so you're always notified when we go live.
Yes, I think everybody's in a wholehearted state right now. So there are no questions. If there are any questions, you can always put it in the comments and we will always come back and answer it for you. So take care. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful evening, and wishing you a hearty, happy evening. Take care. See you all next time. Bye,
Yes.
everybody.
Have a heartful meal. Bye bye. Take care.